Do we have a quorum yet?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
It looks like members of the public are slowly starting to join, so I think you can get started whenever you want to.
okay. It's 5:30, so we can't officially start. I'm John Bender. Tim Schaefer was tied up and asked me if I would chair the meeting for him tonight, and I said sure. So we'll go ahead and call the May 11th meeting of the Marion Municipal Airport Committee. We'll call it to order. And I've got the agenda here on my pad. The first part of the business is, do we have anybody on any kind of public comments? Do we have people that are on the Zoom meeting that want to make any comments?
Doesn't look like anyone's coming forward to speak.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to the regular agenda. Item number 1, approval of the April 13th, 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion items. The only question I had maybe is Tom on here or Mike's on here? We had an item, we tabled 2 items at the last meeting. The items, what was it, C2 and C3? Are we supposed to do anything with that? Bring those back, or is it too soon? Can you give us any indication if we should do anything with that?
Since they're not on the agenda tonight, we'll bring them back at the next meeting.
Okay. All right, that's what I was assuming that we would have to. We got to bring it back at some point. So okay. All right. Any other discussion about the minutes? Any corrections? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
I hear. Opposed? Okay. Item number 1, the minutes are approved. Item number 2, Luxair report. I don't think we got anything sent out to us, did we? Is
No,
Steve
but
there?
Steve is here.
No, sorry.
Okay. Steve, you got something for us?
To be honest, not really, because as far as April, it was really rainy and it was really windy, so there wasn't too much going on at the airport. And I see that it's a later agenda item, but we got the runway light fixed and the Quonset Hut scheduled for demo. So that's pretty much all that we had.
Okay, I haven't been out there. Is that one T hangar progressing, getting built?
We did reskin one of the T hangars and that's done. And then the buildings that got knocked down in the derecho, the replacement for that has been built and is completed.
Okay. All right, any more questions or anybody have anything for Steve? All right, hearing none. Chairman's report. Tim didn't give me anything. Did he say anything to you, Alicia, or anything that he wanted to report?
I didn't receive anything, Mike.
I did not.
Okay.
Okay. The only thing I would add is I appreciate the effort that the committee put together. I know we worked on that, some of the items that were coming up, and the staff pulled a lot of information together for us. We really appreciate that. I think we needed that. So we'll get to it here as we get on to the agenda. Okay. Action items. Item number 1, motion to receive and file a letter from the FAA. I'll go ahead and move that. Got a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Mike, you want to tell us what this says?
Well, it's all in Greek to me, but it's basically going from a VFR to IFR. I'm assuming it's for the instrument approach.
The part about 24 to 36 months?
Yeah. Not exactly quick, but
Everybody got a copy of that letter? It went to the city clerk. It was May 6th. May 6th. Is there anybody else have any comments on that? All we're doing tonight is receiving and filing.
I don't think that the 24 to 36 pertains to us.
That'd be great.
That's if you're asking the FAA to create the plan that Hughes did for us. If you're asking the FAA to do it, then that's what they're talking about here. I think that the only pertinent statement, and I have no idea what motivated this, is the statement, "We do not object with conditions to the construction described in this proposal, provided you comply with the requirements in the advisory circular."
Okay. All right, well, all we're doing is receiving and filing it, and that we've got the information, and staff will take it from there. Any other comments on it? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 I hear opposed. Okay, motion carries. Item number 2. Update regarding runway lighting and the Quonset Hut removal. That to Steve.
no, I'm actually going to give that one then.
Okay,
So for the runway lighting, we did get a contract put together that went through city council to, it's basically a maintenance contract. So as we find out things from Luxair that need to be addressed out there, we can get them to go out there and fix that. The voltage, I think it was 100 volts of direct current. Public service did not feel comfortable with their guys going out and fixing it like they would a street light, a little different power source. So this way the guys that installed it that are comfortable with it were able to go out there. And so in this case, we did have extra lights. So we provided the lights and they went out there and fixed it. So that's taken care of for now until any others go out. The other item is the Quonset Hut demolition. We actually sent that out to our list of contractors for quotes and received none back. So we will try it again and see if we can get anybody to submit a quote. But at this point, we didn't receive any quotes. They were due yesterday at 10 o'clock. So we'll resubmit, we'll put them in our newsletter and try and drum up some interest, but it must be too small for people to be interested in at this point. So the Quonset Hut will continue to be there until we can find a contractor that's able and willing to take it down.
okay. Any questions for Mike on that?
Not a question, but a comment. Mike, I'll try to drum up some interest on that too, to see if I can get a few of the usual suspects to bite on it.
Yeah, we were kind of surprised. I mean, we had 3 or 4 contractors that called and asked questions about it, but nobody submitted quotes.
In the city, crews don't want to do it.
I don't know if they have time either.
No. Okay. Maybe I'll have something for us at the next meeting. So, all right. Any other discussions on that? That was just an update item. Okay, hearing none. Item number 3. Motion to receive and file correspondence from Anderson Bogert regarding the Iowa DOT grant application. That was included. Is Jane on there? I think, yeah, Jane's on there.
Yep, I'm here. Any questions?
Oh, we need a motion first. Scott.
Okay.
Sorry. Got a motion to receive and file.
I'll make that motion to receive and file.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Okay, Jane, go for it.
Okay, any specific questions or you want me to just kind of run through it?
I've got a question about the comment saying that some corporate jets require local weather to land at an airport and charter flights require an AWOS to do an approach. Does that mean, well, does that mean that no corporate jet or charter flight will land at the airport unless we have AWOS?
No, I don't think it means that. I think there are some companies that have corporate jets that when they look to a city, if they want to relocate to that city, there are some that will not do that if there is not AWOS. That's what I was told by the manufacturer, but that's not all corporate jets.
I just
But
wondered if local weather includes the Cedar Rapids weather.
that's a good question. I kind of had that same question too. It's a little bit vague on whether that's included or not, but I can check into that a little bit more.
Because, I mean, whoops. Sorry, I'm switching around here. The argument, one of the arguments for why AWOS would be kind of redundant is that we already have weather at Cedar Rapids. We don't need it. We don't need AWOS for our approach because we have weather at Cedar Rapids that's so close. It just seems like if that weather is sufficient for the approach, but not sufficient for anybody to actually fly it, that seems kind of odd.
Yeah, that's not completely clear to me either, and I'd be glad to check into that a little bit more if you would like.
Yeah, I think it would be good to understand that a little bit better.
Okay,
Just so you know, we probably don't have a lot of time. I mean, the applications are due prior to the next airport committee, just so you guys are aware.
yeah, and the AWOS requires a 500-foot clear zone, which we don't have that anyway. I mean, if you had all the land, AWOS, might be a higher priority item than the Pepe, but since you don't have the land, it's not, really possible at this time.
I thought that was the important issue that you gave us.
If the city owned, is the issue that the city has to own the land that this goes on in order for the state to be interested in funding it?
That's correct.
If the city owned all the land that currently is owned by Luxair or whoever, does that give us a place we could put the AWOS?
It does.
All right.
But the other item is the DOT said they would not fund the maintenance for the AWOS, which is a significant expense. And I know in the past, when we applied for the AWAS, I think it was back in 2019, at that time in the Iowa Aviation System Plan, the Marion Airport was considered a general service airport, and a target for a general service airport is not an AWAS. So that did not score highly for the funding application. And as far as I know, that's still the case. And since Marion's runway is less than 4,000 feet, that's what puts them in that category.
Okay. The with respect to the Pepe lights, what's the basis for the statement that says that it's a worthy safety project?
I think that particular part of the statement referred to burying the power lines specifically.
Has there been historically a problem with airplanes? Are these the power lines on the north side of the airport?
Yeah, these are the power lines on the north side of Highway 151.
Have those ever been struck by any aircraft in the last 50 years?
I guess I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that they're within the runway protection zone.
Well, they obviously don't intrude enough into it to negatively impact the minimums on the approach to runway 17.
Correct.
Okay. So what makes burying the phone lines a worthy safety project if no one has ever hit them? And they've never been a safety issue ever in the history of the airport.
Typically obstructions, it's a good thing to remove obstructions from the RPZ. That's pretty much a standard thing at any airport.
They were identified in the ALP as an intrusion into the RPZ. So, I mean, I think it was identified in the ALP as one of the higher ranked items, as I recall.
And even the Marion subcommittee ranked it high as being a safety component as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there's also 2 runways in that ALP, and the north-south runway is 4,000 feet long. So there's a lot of things in that ALP that nobody seems to be real concerned about. Back to the Pepes, and who do I have here? I have Bonnie. Pepes are if you call them a luxury, that's giving them too much credit. They're not a requirement, and they're sometimes there. When you're a VFR pilot, they're just light bulbs that the runway's there, you land on it. Whether there's some light bulbs that direct you down a precise 3%, whatever, is irrelevant. And when you're on that instrument approach, you're following the vertical navigation that's in the instrument approach. The lights can be used to identify the runway environment, I assume. And so there's a little bit of a benefit there. They're not called out on our instrument approach procedure from Hughes as being a thing that we need to do, as I recall. And I guess where I'm going with all of this is that we seem to be looking for a way to spend the taxpayers' money. That's the high priority. And then we take all of these things that, sure, it'd be nice if there was a fence, or it'd be nice if there was a really cool sign, or it'd be nice if there was a special kind of a light, or another kind of a light up on a tall tower. And we take whatever turns out to be the highest priority in somebody's mind and say that's what we ought to spend money on. I don't think any of them are necessary. AWAS would be great to have. I understand the cost issues. I understand that I don't believe it's necessary in terms of our instrument approach, but we have a statement in here saying that the people we're trying to get to land at our airport, that runway isn't long enough for them to land at, won't land here without local weather, whatever that is. And if local weather means AWAS, then that's what our priority ought to be.
Well, I think this committee's already put together a priority of safety issues, and we did that a year or so ago. And I think what staff's doing to give us extra information. And if it worked for the grant application, that we're receiving and filing the information. We could debate all day long, which is a better project over another one, but I thought we already did that. So I appreciate all this stuff that staff put together. And I think we refined the costs. I think that was one of the questions you had in the last meeting. This kind of refined the costs, and it looks like that got done. So,
well, the part of it that's news to me is that we've got, possible users of the airport that we're trying to create an airport that those people will want to use. And the item that we're deprioritizing is the only one on here that there's some suggestion that those people that we want to land at the airport may need the thing that we're not prioritizing.
So to John's point, the subcommittee that was formed created the list and prioritized it and then brought it back to the rest of us. And I think we might have made some few minor tweaks, and then we voted on it and made it. So I thought the list was put together in terms of what was the most important in terms of safety, not necessarily what was the nicest.
Yeah.
Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And
I guess I don't know what's changed since we did that, I guess.
yes, and again, this is a grant application. It's you give it your best shot to get some funds that can support in the city. All the city has to do is come up with matching, and we see what happens. We're in with, I don't know how many other. How many funds did they tell you, Mike, what the total state fund budget was for all projects throughout the state? Did they tell you?
They gave us some rough numbers, but I don't have them in front of me, but I can tell you that there's always more requests than there's money available. So you want to have the highest ranking projects that you can, so that you have the best application to try and get money.
Yes, and
if nothing is worthy of applying for, then we don't have to apply for projects.
right, and that's what I was getting at. It's funds that we could sure use. And I've done this in years past, and their budget was around $2 million for the entire state. That was several years ago. So I have no idea what it is now.
I think it's about 4 million.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, it was a few years ago. So I think, this is our action item is receive and file this information. I think staff did a good job of pulling this together.
Yep, and those were the questions. That's all
Okay.
Those were the questions I had.
Yeah, the biggie was about the AWAS that we still had some issues with property ownership. Okay, any other discussion? Let me get back. Any other discussion for this item number 3? We're just receiving and filing the info from the Jane put together for us. Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 I hear, opposed? Okay, thank you, and approved. Item number 4, we've got something similar, motion to receive and file correspondence from HDR regarding the DOT application, and I think that went to you, did it, Mike? I'll move this one.
Second.
Okay, we got a second? I don't think Jerry's on it. Mike, you want to handle this one?
No, it's not. So basically all I did was, as you can see, just threw out the question of, what's the highest priority? And then Jerry's response there, carrying the power lines has the best chance for funding and would rank high. The Pepe with the 3-degree glide path would complement the approaches being developed, and the AWAS is important. But siting is problematic, as Jane alluded to in hers as well, because it does not, we can't fit it within the envelope of what the city owns, similar to why we can't place the beacon. So he just ranked them in priority based on safety and put power lines as number 1, Pepe is number 2, and AWAS is number 3. So just more information from a professional to the committee.
Okay, any questions from the committee on that particular memo from, when did that come? April 21 from Jerry. Okay, hearing none. I lost it. Okay, item number 4. Motion to receive and file this. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 I hear opposed. Okay. Item number 4 is approved. Item number 5, discussion regarding the application to the Iowa DOT. This is a discussion. Is that you, Mike?
Yeah, so basically what I have in there is you got the same information at the last meeting, but the fiscal year 22, which was last year, this was the application that we put in, which was burying the overhead power lines and the Pepe application. So we applied for both. So at the previous airport committee meeting, it was amended to switch it to AWAS. So opening up for discussion. What this committee is recommending to go to city council for approval. And I would recommend that we put safety as the priority when we send it to city council, just on the feedback that we received from city council.
Okay, and I think you updated the costs, it looks like, from the information we just got.
No, so what's actually in there is the actual application that we put in last year. So it's not updated. So assuming however the votes go, we would then update it for a fiscal 23 application with whatever application this committee recommends to council and what council actually tells us to proceed with. So similar to P&Z giving a recommendation to city council.
Okay. This is exactly the same one. And you're going to do them 1 and 2 as within the HDR memo.
Yeah, again, that's just information that staff is providing to the committee. The committee needs to give a recommendation of what application, if they want to apply to something, what application.
All right. Any If you had a chance to look at that, anyone have any questions for Mike on that application? What's the deadline again?
I believe it's May 26th.
Okay, so
So
it needs,
would the, go ahead, John.
go ahead, I have a clock going off, making noise.
So would the recommendation therefore be that we want to resubmit this with updated pricing?
Yes, so staff would recommend applying for the same thing we applied for last year. We would update the numbers, but I'm just giving that as reference. But again, that's staff's recommendation to the MAC. The MAC then makes a recommendation to city council, and city council then gives their orders, which may or may not align with MAC.
Okay, very possible. All right, any more discussion on item 5? Go ahead.
Do you think there's any benefit to eliminating one of them so that, I mean, can they approve one and not the other, obviously? And is there any benefit to just removing one of them so we're not making too big of an ask?
There's pros and cons for both. Last time it sounded like we would have gotten one of them approved. By putting 2 in there, they could evaluate them and they look at it as a safety perspective too. And they could say, well, you applied for Pepe and burying the power lines. If those are the 2 that you proceed with, we feel burying the power lines is the most important because you have a flight school there and there's potential to have, you know, a student pilot out there that has an accident. So they may pick which one is higher priority.
That's good, bud.
Their mind as well. Were you saying something, Tom?
No, sorry.
I don't think it hurts to have both of them in there to give them, because again, they make the final decision.
So they can fund one, none, or both. I mean,
okay. Any more discussion on item number 5? Mike and or Jane? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6. This is actually a motion to approve. I guess you've got these in 2 separate ones. Motion to approve DOT application for burying the power lines that you've had a chance to look.
I second.
Did we have a move?
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry. Well, then I'll move it.
Okay, you move it. I'll second it. Okay. Discussion on this item. We've a lot of information we already talked about. And this would go to council.
so
You
this
would
would go on the 17th and 19th city council meeting.
Okay. To give you time to get it put together and then give them time, and then it would be available for the deadline.
Yep.
Okay.
So I will be writing the memo after this meeting.
Okay. We have motion a second. Any discussion on this item? Any more you want to bring up? Again, this is an application. Okay, hearing none. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 I hear opposed. Okay. Hearing none, motion for item number 6 is approved. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7. Motion to approve the Iowa DOT application for the Precision Approach Path Indicator, or Pepe lights. I have a motion for that one.
I'll move that we approve that.
Okay.
The Pepe precision approach path indicator.
Okay, we got a motion. Got a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. To have this one also included in the application. Any other discussion on this one? So Mike can write his memo. Okay, hearing none, no more discussion on this one. All in favor of this item number 7 motion, signify by saying aye.
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 I
Hear opposed.
No,
Okay, we have one opposed. I think, as far as I'm sure, I think it passes. So if it got the count, it passes. Okay. Item number 7 is approved. Okay, we're down to anything for the good of the order for our meeting. Next meeting would be, if we have one, would be what? June, I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Should be
Fourth.
June
Would be what?
8th.
Okay, it'd be early, June 8th. Same time, if that meeting happens. So just keep everybody on your calendar. Any other discussion?
move we adjourn.
We're ready to adjourn. Thank you very much.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.